Mr. Charles Osei Wusu, who is going to do justice to the subject today. So quickly, he holds a bachelor's degree in actuarial science from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Kumasi in Ghana. After obtaining his bachelor's degree, he became a teaching assistant and later read a master's degree in economics, and his specialty was in money, banking, and finance. He also worked as a tutor and a managing business development and an advisory at the Premchat Chartered Accountants Institute. He is a registered member of the Ghana Stock Exchange as a security investment analyst and also a member of the Corporate Finance Institute in Canada as a financial modeling and evaluation analyst. He is also an associate of the Institute of Certified Chartered Economists here in Ghana. His interest lies in data analysis, financial risk management, financial technology, as well as geopolitics. Without wasting much time, I would want to once again welcome our speaker for today in the person of Mr. Charles Osei Wusu. So let's quickly invite our speaker. So Mr. Charles, the floor is yours.
Hello. Good afternoon to you all.
Good afternoon.
Hope you are fine.
We are all doing well, please.
Okay. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm happy to be with you, and I think you're going to have a pleasurable day. Please, is my screen shared?
Not yet, please.
Okay. Could you allow me to share my screen?
Yes, you are a panelist, so you are supposed to be able to share.
Yes, you are a co-host, so sharing should be enabled.
Yeah, you can just share it straightforward.
Okay. Is it shared now? Do you see it?
Yes, we can see it now.
The screen is shared now. Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. So I begin the presentation, and once again, we are coming to have a discussion on personal finances and time management. And as the moderator introduced, I'm Charles Osei with he did justice to my history, a brief synopsis of history about me. All right. So to begin with, I want this discussion to be interactive, not just a listening question sort of. So what I want us to do is it's going to be a discourse. So I believe in Socrates' philosophy, and Socrates discounts reading and writing. He says that the best form of acquisition of knowledge is by discourse. So for us to be able to grasp whatever we are doing very well, what I'm telling you is you help me so that we all have a good discussion. All right. So this is our content that we'll be talking about. So without not wasting much time, what is personal finance? Okay. What I would want us to do is, if you have any question along the way, you could just let me know. Or do we do it that way, or should we, after the whole section, then I'll give some time for question. I don't know which one be okay with you.
Okay, so there's a question and answer
so,
session on top of the screen. So if you have any question, you can use the question and answer chat box. Just let us know the question. I'll read it to our presenter, then he answers for us.
That's okay. All right, so I begin with personal finance. I think personal finance is been the talk around. Everybody.
Hello.
Well, I think our speaker has lost his internet connectivity. Maybe you can inbox him, maybe WhatsApp, and tell him that we cannot hear him. We will hold on.
Okay, okay. Let me just contact.
Hello.
Yeah, Charles, we can hear you now.
Okay, sorry for the network. I think it's raining here, so I'm having a bit of challenge with the data. Okay, with the connection. All right. So I'm sharing the screen. Okay, please, is the screen shared now?
Yes, we can see it now.
All right, that's fine. Okay, so I'm saying that personal finance is being a talk around. So what exactly is personal finance? When you talk about personal finance, in simple terms, personal finance is a household finance. When you talk about household finance, it's about housekeeping money. How do we manage your finances? How do we manage your income against your expenditure? So I say that measuring your income against your expenditure. So the income is virtually what is coming up to you, expenditure, what is going out of you. All right. So that is one aspect to look at it. The next one I wanted us to look at is how we are optimizing our assets in order to defray our debts. So you have two viewpoints, and I'll pick it from you have the accountant's viewpoint and the economist's viewpoint. The accountants view assets as anything as a possession. So in actual fact, assets is supposed to be things that you spend money on, things that you've purchased. So it's actually supposed to be an expenditure. That is from the accountant's point of view, because the fact is that every asset comes with purchases. So it means that it's an expenditure. However, I seem to shift from the economist's point of view. The economist is saying that assets are things that add value to your income or your revenue outflows. That is where I'm looking at assets in this point of view. So if, for instance, you have a car, a vehicle, and the vehicle you are using it for business or is anything that is bringing utility. When I mean utility, is that is anything you are deriving benefit from it, not just pleasure, but benefit. And the benefit is monetary gains. Anything that brings you monetary gains is adding up to your income or cash flows. With that, you can term it as an asset. However, when you have the same vehicle and you are using it purposely for your personal consumption, for your personal benefit, just for
Right? Have we lost him again?
Yes, Isaac, we've lost him again.
It's really raining here in Ghana, and I'm sure that is what is causing the instability in the network. But let me contact him again.
It's okay, it's okay, we understand.
Oh, yeah. So I think he's about to reconnect now. He didn't really know he was offline. He just realized I just called him. So let's wait for like 1 minute. He's joining.
Well, Isaac, I think while we are waiting for Charles to join, we can acknowledge the presence of some of our past presenters we are having here. I can see Juma Umala is in the meeting. Maybe if he's okay with it, I can make him a co-host and greet us. Say hi to the participants while we are waiting for Charles. Juma, if that is okay for you, you can just unmute and say hi, if at all you are getting us.
Yes, I can hear you. Fred, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good, good, sir. Fred, what am I supposed to say?
Well, you can just greet us, tell us how Canada is going. Actually, we are just biding time until Charles joins us
So
back.
once again, we are very sorry for this unfortunate incident. Our speaker is currently experiencing some technical issues as a result of the rain. It's really raining here in Ghana. I don't know if you can even hear it from my background. It's really raining here. But he's trying to reconnect so that he will join us. So yes, he's been able to join us now. Yeah. So Mr. Charles, is it clear now?
I think it's okay now. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Charles, is it clear now?
Yeah, it's clear. It's clear. Sorry for the bad network. All right. All right, so I'll proceed on with the presentation. Please, am I online now? Hello, please, are you all following?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. So I was talking about assets and liabilities, basically what it is. So assets is something that is bringing revenue to you. Liabilities is anything that is taken out of your revenue or out of your income. So in this way, we've moved up from the income expenditure
Mr. Charles, can you
to
hear
assets. Yes, I can hear you. Hello.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, I can. Hello.
Charles, I think we can hear you so well, so carry on.
Okay, can you hear me, please?
Yeah, it's better. We can hear you, so you can carry on, please.
Okay, that's fine. So I was talking about we've moved on from the income and expenditure to assets and liabilities. Okay, so once you have income and you have expenditure, there are two things that could result out of it. Rather there is a deficit or rather there is a surplus. So every personal finance ends up in, are you in deficit or are you in surplus? Deficit here is talking about debt. Whenever your expenses are more than your income, you have a scenario where you are entering into a debt or deficit crisis. And whenever you have your income exceeding your expenditure, you are in surplus, meaning that you have extra funds available onto you. Okay, so let's proceed on. All right, so since we have talking about revenue and expenditure, in personal finance, what we are accustomed to is we should always be at a position where we have leverage on our expenditure. That is, there are two sides of it. We are going to minimize our expenditure and are going to optimize or increase our income or revenue. So we are looking at ways to ensure controlling or minimizing our expenditure to the barest minimum. Okay, so the first thing that we have to look at is, or we begin with, is budgeting. In order to be able to cut down unnecessary expenditure, the first thing that you have to begin with is budgeting. Budget periodically. You could do it monthly, you could do it semi-annually, you could do it every quarter of the year, or you could even do it annually. But it shouldn't be so long to be able to take you away from, or be able to bring in lots of contingencies. When I mean contingencies, when you set your budget for probably like a year, you get a lot of contingencies along the line. So best you scale it to, let's say, about a month, preferably, or a quarter maximum. That is what is preferred. So in the budget, you look at your revenue, how much you are earning, and you look at your expenditure, expected expenditure. Some of the expenditures are fixed or recurrent. When I mean recurrent, is there are certain basic things that you have to cater for, i.e. food, i.e. telephone and communication, data, and what have you. So you have to budget, and that's the first point of it. The second thing is prioritizing and scheduling your budget. The budget shouldn't just be raw, but you arrange it in scale of preference. So the most important ones comes at the top, and the less important ones beneath, and you prioritize it so that whenever you are cash strapped, you'll be able to know that, okay, you've been able to defray the most important ones. That is much more prevalent. Okay, so when it comes to controlling expenditure, I suggest a 50-30-20 principle. What I mean by the 50-30-20 principle is you look out for 50% of your earned revenue or earned income to go into your necessities, things that will keep your survival. So most importantly is food, clothing, transportation, and basic things. The basic things that will sustain you, that will be needed for your sustenance. Then budget 30% for one. What I mean want is things that are not so much of necessity, but are things that is going to aid you, or things that your preference, our preference could differ from one person to the other, but they cannot be classified as necessities. Then I mean the last 20% caters for savings. So you set that money aside that you're not going to spend it, is untouchable. Okay, so that is the best way in order to control your expenditure. So however amount that you have, when you follow this principle, it's going to guide you to at least save a particular amount of money. Then the next point I'll look at is, in order to control your expenditure, you avoid wastage, avoid impulse buying. When you see anything, it's not everything that you see along the way. Once it has not been budgeted for, you consider it as impulse. You didn't plan for it. So you see it, you like it, you note it down, then you factor it next into the next budget, or you probably review your budget moving on. But try as much as possible to avoid impulse buying. Then the next one, to be able to also control your expenditure, is do collective purchases. So what I mean by collective purchases is when it comes to foodstuffs, okay, you avoid going every day to the market, purchase foodstuffs every time, certain basic things that you need. You avoid doing it in a more regular basis. The things that are done on a more regular basis, you could quantify it, lump it up together, and purchase it as a whole. That one will be much more preferred. That's also another way to be able to avoid wastage and avoid to be able to control your budget. All right. Most of the time, those with debit cards, those are the credit cards. I mean, credit card, it gives you the opportunity to be able to spend before you even earn. And one thing that you have to do is desist from that act of spending before you earn. Always make sure you earn before you spend. Okay, I'm purchasing this. It's not on debt, but I have it. I have what it needs to be able to afford it. All right. So once you are done with controlling your expenditure, we move on to maximizing your revenue. With maximizing your revenue, the first point is the culture of saving. Remember, I spoke to you, I said about the 50-30-20 principle. So the 50-30 principle is not generic, but that is in the worst case scenario. So you allot 20% of your earnings to savings. But someone could also go beyond it, pertaining to how much more and how you perceive or your needs or your preferences. All right. So the first thing is cultivate the culture of saving. So save, and save. All right. Invest as much as you can out of your revenue that you have. As much as you can, as you could afford, invest it now. That is what I'll give you. All right. Then I also say that increase your income stream. Get a side hustle. Do something in addition to what you are already doing. Make sure to duplicate as much as you can your income stream. All right. So stay out of debt. Always when you are on debt, it's going to reduce your income. So when you always have deferred, you're always going to have deferred payments, because you are always on debt, and it's going to minimize, it's going to lower down your revenue. Then set targets for yourself. Set revenue targets, realistic revenue target. And this revenue target is in link with income stream. All right. So this is what you are doing. This is what you earn for a living. And you earn X amount. All right. You realize that, let's say, I usually spend in cities. So let's say I'm earning 10,000 cities. But at 10,000 cities, I could set, let's say, at the end of the year, I'm expecting to push my revenue up by 20,000 cities. So how am I going to work towards that? So you itemize them, you write all of them down, you detail it, and you work towards achieving those targets. All right. So with income, there are three main types of income. Because I talked a bit about bringing on income streams, there are three types of income that you could look at. The first one is your earned income. And your earned income, I mean, what you are doing as your regular job. It could be an employee or even an employer. What you are earning on a regular basis, let's say at the end of the month, your salary or your wage, that is your earned income. With the second income I'll talk about is investment income. Investment income are income that is set aside for investment. It could be stocks, treasury bills. I'll move much more into investment income in the next slide. And it could be passive income. What I mean by passive income is, with passive income, they are income that comes to you not in a regular basis. For instance, you are a pharmacist. However, you do something as a hobby. Let's say you could just do anything as a hobby. Okay. Then along the line, you get a friend who asks you, oh, I need this particular drug. Okay, so you look at it and say, no, I can make income out of it. And you tell the person, okay, wait, I'll provide you with it. You add your markup and It could be an income that has come to you, not something that you planned, but it's just a passive income that came to you. All right. So I want us to make a distinction between savings and investment. How do we be able to strike the difference? Most people interchange the two, savings and investment. All right. Like I indicated, it means that 50, 30, 20 set aside for savings. That amount is, let's say I earn 10,000 cedis, like I indicated. 20% of that will be like 2,000. So I said 2,000 cedis for savings. With this amount I've set aside for savings, there is one key thing out there. The law of time value of money. The law of time value of money is saying that $1 today is better than $1 tomorrow. $1 today is better than $1 tomorrow. Meaning that if I have 1 cedi today and tomorrow is still 1 cedi, I've lost. Because the cedi yesterday was better than the cedi today. And this accounts for interest rates. This is the main reason why the interest setting was made up. So what I mean is, if I have 1 cedi and I've put it, it's just lying idle there. And week by week, month by month, years by years, the money is still the same. The money tends to lose its value. That is the time value of money. So money should appreciate the time. And how do you appreciate your money and it shouldn't be idle? The best way to even do is put the money in the savings account. You could be getting minimal interest rates on it. So money shouldn't be left idle. That is what I mean by the law of time value of money. So the law of time value of money pushes you from a savings culture. Remember, I spoke to you about savings culture. It pushes you from savings to investment zone. So meaning that you're adding value onto the amount of money that you are saving. And that moves us on to compounding interest rates. Okay, so you set aside, I indicated that 1 cedi. I indicated here that if I have 1 cedi, and within every day, I'm setting aside extra 1 cedi, 1 cedi, 1 cedi, 1 cedi to it. Okay, so that 1 cedi compounded is going to yield the same, 1 exponent, 365. But if I add something little to it, so if I have 1 cedi, it means that the next year is still going to 1 cedi. If it's lying down, not doing anything, it means it's attracting 0% interest. But if a little interest on it, let's say 0.01 is added onto it, cumulatively, you realize that we end up getting 37 cedis out of the 1 cedi. I've not done anything to it. By the end of the year, the law of compounding is getting us to 7 cedis. In that same way, in a very depreciating manner, if I spend just a fraction of it, 0.01 of it, so the 1 cedi now tends to depreciate in value, and it depreciates in value. So just 0.01 appreciation and depreciation means a lot to just 1 cedi to it. So money shouldn't be left lying down idle. All right. So I'll move on to main thing about investment. Investment basically has to do with risk return metrics. When I mean risk return metrics, is there is a correlation between return and risk. In investments, the higher the risk, the higher the reward. The higher the risk, the higher the reward. That is the intuition about investment. So if you are willing to risk a lot, it means that your reward should be higher, and it happens also in business. So that is what should guide us in our subsequent. Okay. So investment classifications. I'll be doing much more of investment because I'm much more biased in investment. I hope everyone is listening to me though. Hello.
Yeah, Charles, we are following you, please.
All right, that's fine. All right, so let's proceed on with it. So we move on to investment classification. I'll classify investments under three main types. First, based on your risk level. Second, based on time periods. Third one, based on your nature, based on the investment nature. All right. I always say that no two people are the same. Every person is different based on our taste, based on our environment, based on our choices, based on our preferences, and everything we differ. So most of the times, someone will ask, I have 1,000 cities. What should I put it into? Then I tell the person, no, the investment has to be tailored towards you. So usually, webinar like this is difficult because you have to lump everything together, kind of generalize it. But with the investment space, we look at it from a very idiosyncratic sense. That is a more individualistic manner. All right. So when I'm classifying my investments based on my risk level, I look at myself. Am I a risk averse? I have a low risk. I'm risk neutral or risk, or I'm a risk level. So the kind of person that I am would tell the kind of investments I have to go in for. I will start with
Well, Isaac, I think we have lost our speaker again. So maybe you can inform him so that he doesn't continue talking wherever he is.
Speaker is off again. Let me get back to him. All right, our speaker will be joining us soon. I think his connection is really terrible today. That's why I sincerely apologize for any. But before that, if you have any question, don't forget to use the question and answer box. Is just right on top at the right upper corner. You can just ask any question, then our speaker will answer.
Isaac, I think we can barely hear you. Fred, can you hear Isaac?
Well, yes, Isaac is, I think the network instability is affecting him as well. So he's barely audible. So in the meantime, while they are sorting out the issues, I think we can go on with the introduction. Then when they are able to join, we can kick it off from there.
Fred, is it better now?
Yes, absolutely. It's okay now.
Okay, it's still raining here in Ghana. That's why the network has been a bit bad today. We are very sorry and apologies for any inconvenience because I reached out to our resource person and he'll be joining us soon. He's trying to reconnect, but there's a bit of a connectivity challenge. So we are hoping that you join us soon. But before that, like I was saying, if you have any question, don't forget to use the question and answer box. It's right on top at the corner. You can just type in your question and our speaker would address that.
So I see the speaker is back. Fred, just allow me to say that most of the scholarships are now open. So we have Chevening open. There's Erasmus Mundus. And I think there's also MasterCard in the US that's open. So this is the time to make those applications if you want to. And then there's also Mandela Washington, which is a fellowship program. So, I mean, you can just do a simple Google and reach out if you have any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Juma. That's so thoughtful of you. I'll personally see you for a chat about that.
You always say that.
I've been busy with my final exam, but on this one, I promise I'll reach out to you.
All right.
Okay, so our speaker has joined us, so let's quickly go back to.
All right. Sorry for the connection to and fro. Lights out and some other few things. Technical challenges. Anyway, all right. So I was just highlighting on the risk types and the investment tools that you need if you have this particular risk types. All right. So I spoke about risk averts. Risk averts, if you know that you fall within the risk averts, that is, you have low inclination to risk. Whenever you put in money, you don't want to, and you're losing just a penny of it. It worries you so much. So these are the kind of investment probably you look at. So you look at Treasury bills, you look at Treasury bonds, you look at corporate bonds, AAA. I will explain that. When you talk about Treasury bills are government securities or government bonds, shorter term bonds. Usually it goes like 91 days, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year T-bills or Treasury bills. So Treasury bills are actually risk-free. So meaning that when you put your money there, there is no way your money is going to decline in value. Whatever be the case, you're going to have income appreciation or fund appreciation of your money that you've already invested. Because the government, they say that the government will never default. So you are always going to profit from it. When you look at Treasury bond is an enhanced form of Treasury bills. But this time, Treasury bonds looks at government bonds, that is between 2 to 5 years. When I mean bonds is you've given your money to government for government to work. Then government in return promises you that it's going to pay you X interest rate of the amount of money that probably you've agreed or the government has fixed to give you. Then if you have low rates, another investment tool that you could also look at is corporate bonds AAA. When I mean AAA, I mean that corporate bonds that are graded AAA. Every bond on the market, every corporate bond on the market is graded. Institutions also issue bonds, but institutional bonds are graded. For instance, when an institution like Vodafone, Coca-Cola, these multinational institutions, when they issue bonds, we have rating agencies that grade them. So when you go to the market, you are risk averse. You don't want your money to go waste, or you don't want you don't want your lenders, your borrowers to default. So you're going for corporate bonds AAA. So meaning that your borrower is never going to default. There are some institutions, they will never default. They're just like ranked up at par with government. It's hard for them to default. Then you come down, you look at moderate risk. Moderate risk, there are some people, they can bear a little amount of risk, but not entirely a lot of risk. So I'll give one or two examples out of this. Okay, so I was talking about corporate bonds. So apart from corporate bonds, someone will come further down and say that, okay, when I go to my investors, or I go to my fund manager, I go to an investment bank, I tell them, okay, I'm going to step down, apart from maybe corporate bonds AAA. If you have any credit rating between B and B minus, I could classify it as a moderate risk. They are not so much at the top and they are not so much down. And the issue has to do with, I remember I said that there is a direct proportion between risk and return. So meaning that the lower the risk, the lower the return. The government will never default, but they have the least interest rate. The government will never give you high interest for you to yes. They usually have lower interest rates relative to other kinds of investment. All right. So when you have, meaning that corporate bond AAA also have very lower interest rates, they will give you lower interest relative to moderate risk institutions. Like I said, corporate bonds that have credit rating B plus or B minus. So B plus, B minus, or even CC plus. CC plus could also fall within the moderate risk. So with that, they have to increase their interest rate, but you bear a little amount of risk. All right. Then I move on to the high risk zone. High risk zone are investment options that have high risk and high return. The first thing to talk about is equity or stocks. They are very, very risky. Risky in the sense that when you put your money there, they wouldn't even give you an amount of money a fixed percentage, a fixed percentage to be able to pushing yourself with. But it is open. You could earn so much when they are doing well, or you could just lose terribly when they are doing bad, when the market is so down. So those are the two things to look at. Either you earn so much when the market is performing, or you go so low when the market is not performing. So I'll give an example. Apart from equities or stocks, you could also look at the modernized cryptos. By the year 2019 November, cryptos was selling at one coin was around I think $6,000. Just within less than a year, it moved from $6,000 to $30,000, and it even hit up to the next year. That was 2020, beginning of 2020. It was heading up towards 60,000 there. That is how volatile it is. It means that it could just go through from $60,000. It has now declined to, I think, about 23,000. So it's very, very volatile. So imagine buying it at 6,000. So someone who bought it at 6,000 had appreciated its worth up to 60,000 just within about a month or two. And somebody would say that, okay, it's 60,000. I'm anticipating that it's still going to also appreciate. The person buys it at 60,000 and then falls back to 23,000. So the person has also lost. That is how volatile it is. However, those who are targeting long term, I'm linking the first class to the second class, then to the third. Those who are targeting long term investment it's preferable they go in for high risk, because stocks, equities, long term investment, you don't wish to earn in momentum now. It is said in finance that in the long time, all investments appreciate. The long time, all investments would appreciate. So there could be some volatility now, but there would definitely be upward movement. So when I'm talking about long term, I'm looking at 5 years and beyond. All right. So invariably, then it also means that those that deals with lower risk would also match with a shorter term period. So I don't want to bear a lot of risk. So meaning that, okay, there are certain, if I'm targeting short-term investment, or I just want an investment that will push me, I don't want the money just to be idle. And I don't want to do short-term, that's going to lock my funds. Let me do something quickly, short, within a short time. I look at what? Any low risk investment option, like I indicated, T-bills, and that's mostly what people go into. But a very good in good personal finance management, the best thing you have to do is you have to have a blend. We call it portfolio. You have a portfolio or a mixture of these three. How to categorize it under each of these. All right. Then the last one is pertaining to the nature. The nature tells you how the investments are. Okay, so there are two main types of investment. Some people tell you is debt securities and equity. When I mean by debt securities, is debt security, there are people who will take your money and promise you an interest rate. The interest rate could be fixed or it could be floating. Some people will give you, will take your money and they will peg the interest rate they are giving you to, let's say, the inflation, so that your money can't be eroded. Or they will peg the interest rate they are giving to you to, let's say, the GDP increase, or whenever there is the percentage increase in GDP. Or it could just be anything that could be linked towards the economy, or they normally could do that. Or even to the interest rate, the prevailing policy rate, the interest rate in the nation. That is a floating interest rate. So they could peg it to you. So they take your money and promise you a fixed or floating interest rate in return. It could be a year, it could be 2 years, it could be 3 years. It's just that they've taken your money and they've promised you. So example is what we've given to you. So whenever banks, they take your money, you go and take money, you borrow money from them, They will borrow money that you want to use it for something. Then you rather promise them that, okay, and you fix yourself into an interest rate that, yeah, I'm taking this money and I'll be paying back with this interest rate. So that is how it goes. Then I move on to equities. Equities doesn't have any interest rate. It is ambiguous. It's like the market runs it. So if the company is doing well, if you have shares in a particular company, the company is doing well, it means that your money is also appreciating. If the company is not doing well, it means that your revenue is what? Falling. It's as simple as that. But it doesn't promise any interest rate or interest pattern to it. All right. So I was talking about some of these investment types, but I just wanted to recap on some of them so that you have basic ideas about some of them. Some of them that I left out. These are all the investment options that came to mind, that was mine. There are a host of others, but with this presentation, I just want us to focus on these or to target on these. If you want to make any choice among these, are the ones that probably you could fix your eyes on. So the first one I talked about is insurance. Insurance is an investment that a lot of people forgo. When I mean insurance, is insurance has two faces or two faces. We have the risk and the investment portion of it. So the risk point of it is you go to an insurance company and you tell them, for instance, I'm insuring against this liability or against this accident or against this. So in case of any eventuality, then they pay you that money back. If that thing doesn't happen, then it means that your money has been, and it means that your money, the investment company is eventually going to take your money. That is how it is. But they are not taking your money in a way, but you are exchanging your contingency for your reward, for money, so that you wouldn't be caught up with a lot of shock at a particular point in time. That is the risk aspect. Then move on to the investment side of insurance. The investment side of insurance is you look at education plan. Someone could have an education plan with a given insurance company. So the education plan, you tell them, okay, I'm forecasting about 5 years from now. I want to go to Harvard. I don't have what it takes to go to Harvard, looking at my current earnings or my current income statement. So what I'm going to do is I want you to spread about some amount of money for me so that I will start paying towards it. When the time is due and I'm not even able to pay because of the relationship I've built with the institution, how credit liable I was, then you pay on my behalf. That is how it is. So that is a very good form that people really need to look into. So it could be a particular project you are taking. You go to an insurance company. Okay, I want to do project management. I want to build this house. That actually is another form of mortgage, but it could also be a form of insurance, the investment, or in another side that you want to look at. Then I look at the next investment option you look at is mutual funds. Mutual funds is very predominant in my nation, Ghana. Most investments are actually mutual funds in Ghana here. So what I mean by mutual funds is mutual fund has a host of investment vehicles coming together to form mutual funds. I distinct it from all of them. Lots of investments will fall within the mutual funds bracket. So with mutual funds, what happens is this way. Okay, there is a company that is there, usually an investment company, that takes your money and manage that funds they've taken from you. But they will decide based on your risk pattern, based on your preferences, where to put each money in. So they take X amount of money from you, then they will say that, okay, based on your risk pattern, we are going to invest 50% in risky shares, in risky assets or risky portfolio. We are going to invest 30% in moderate and 20%, let's say, in risk-free or lower risk. The mutual fund is a blend of all the investment options I've talked about in the previous slide. So a blend of T-bills, a blend of bonds, that is government or treasury bonds, a blend of corporate bonds, a blend of pensions management, a blend of all what have you put together that falls under mutual funds. All right. Then move on to unit trust. Unit trust is an enhanced or a type of mutual funds. However, this time around, it's a group of or a team that have come together, and with you inclusive, then you decide which. So with unit trust, unlike you sending money to some people, with unit trust, through an agent, you all come together and you make a decision on where to put our money, to. So you come together and you have a voice, depending on the amount of money you have in the trust. The higher money you have in the trust or you have in the vote, the higher your voice. The higher your money in there, the higher your voice. So those with higher money will tell that, okay, have so much interest in it, because if there is any liability, it affects me, unlike the mutual fund. If we are losing, if the shareholders or the fund holders, those whose money have been put in there, if their income is depreciating, it doesn't affect them because it's a company managing for them. But the unit trust, if we are making losses, it is affecting us personally. We have to make decisions in order to protect our interest. That is unit trust. Then I talk about stocks. So stocks basically, these are things that we could elaborate on and on and on and on because they are detailed. I just want to give a layman's view of stocks. So when we have stocks is hello.
Yeah, I think we can take some questions so that if we can wrap up within the next 10 minutes, that'll be okay. We
All
are
right,
far
that's
behind
okay.
time. So someone is asking, isn't it unfair that when the eventuality you insure against does not happen, the insurance company takes your money? I'm sure it's in the light of when you're talking about the insurance.
Okay. All right. Let me answer the person. It's not unfair. It's not unfair because usually, let's say you've insured against a vehicle or you've insured against a property. The property usually would be, let's say, $100,000. Let me use a very popular denomination that all of us are familiar with. Let's say about $100,000. $100,000 is so huge. So insurance deal with law of large numbers. They wouldn't let you, usually the premium that you'll be paying, that is the amount of money you'll be paying every year, might be just about 1% of the total amount of money you've insured against. So let's take it this way. If you insured your car worth about 100,000 cedis, and your car gets an accident, you insure it today, and your car gets an accident tomorrow, the insurance company, even though you've paid lesser than, let's say, about $1,000, or even about, let's say, $500 at times, $500, but the company wouldn't pay the $500. They're going to give you that $100,000 worth of investment that you've insured against. So it's just risk that you are trading with. But the insurance company benefits in the law of large numbers that everyone pays little so that it wouldn't affect you so much. The money you are churning out It's not going to be a liability to you. It's not going to be a burden onto you. It's not like the 100,000 has been spread in a very large amount of money that's going to have a big toll on you. I don't know if I've answered the person well. So it's not so much of the company, the insurance company is cheating you. But in return, if the unexpected also happens, you're also going to benefit. So that is how.
All right. I think it's well answered. I also had a similar, how do I even put it, a similar thought, but I think the clarification has been made now. We are really, really far behind time. So if you can just wrap up.
All right.
Speaker, over to you.
Let me, I think I've spoken about some of the investments in my earlier slides. So I will jump to mortgage and pension. Okay, so mortgage is of a very crucial investment when it comes to African sub-region, Asia, and all around the world. In 2008, there was the global recession that happened. That's the Great Depression that happened in 2008. Was as a result of mortgage. Was as a result of mortgage. And what happened was that they made mortgage into security. They broke it down so that you could pay little as you can, and that land would be for you, and another person could buy it. So what happened was that they called it subprime mortgages, and the subprime mortgages was that the land wasn't there, but we were actually selling them, and it led to a global recession. So something that has led to a global recession has so much weight, and I think it's something that each and every person has to plan towards. So when I mean by mortgages, mortgage is setting money aside for your housing. Basically, it's for property management, but I will limit it to housing or for accommodation purposes. All right. So there are mortgage plans. Mortgage planners, you go to your banker, you go to your investment, your investment analyst, a fund manager, or anyone in the financial space, and you tell the person, okay, I am this person. I want a mortgage plan. This is my income. And this is, let's say, the amount of money probably I think I could afford. Then the fund manager will tell you whether it is rational or not. Most of the times, we have higher, how do you call it? We crave for something so big, but in reality, it might not actually be so. So with a mortgage plan, I think the earlier you begin to start saving towards your mortgage, the better your house that you've envisaged should be. So there is no delay, or there is no delay out in that. So mortgage is another investment that is also much better. And most of the time, mortgage are usually best in safeguarding against bad economy. Most of the time, when you have a mortgage plan with a real estate institution or a company, and the economy is not even doing well, because you've locked yourself up into the mortgage, it's not going to appreciate. You are still the same amount of money you are going to pay. So you are always doing better off with mortgage. Then another form of an investment I'll talk about lastly is the pensions. Pensions, every worker needs to save towards. Every worker or every person needs to save towards them. One day you are not going to be active in the work that you are doing. More necessary, why you need to save towards. So how do you save towards this? What are the criteria? What are the components that you need to do? So the first thing is look at your social security, employer side, employee side. So you work for an institution. Okay, the employer is paying X amount into your social security fund. Then you also contribute a particular amount of money heading towards your pension. Pension money are untouchable. Pension money should never be touched. That is the main intention of it. So in my country, they set up a policy. If you touch your pension money lesser than, I think, 15 years, it comes with a particular amount of penalty. Usually it could be tax or levy that they've put on it, so that it would prevent you from touching that amount of money. Yes, so usually try not to touch your pension. And I mentioned the amount that the employer is paying for you and the amount that you are paying for yourself. Most of the time, the social security employer pays for us, so we think that is it, and we go back to sleep. But there is a voluntary option where you can add up or you can top up for yourself in a periodic manner. Any amount of money you could. There are some people, the amount of what they earn is not fixed, because probably maybe the employers themselves or the entrepreneurs or they are in trade or in commerce. But that's, if you are not very careful, you may be tempted to rubbish social security funds. But you have to probably look at the percentage of your profit or a percentage of your earnings going on to retirement. All right. So these are the investment options that I think that came to mind. Okay. Every investment could come with a particular risk, like I told you. And there are a lot of risks. There could be the economy, the risks that we face as a result of the economy. It could be risks pertaining to the individual industry or institution probably you're putting yourself with. When COVID happened, it was global, it was pandemic. However, there were certain institutions that were hit more than others. And you have to, therefore, there is a way you can invest in such a way that when there is any attack on such investment, you wouldn't be struck so much if there is any pandemic, if there is any eventuality. And these are the 5 things that is going to hedge your investment. It's not going to make your investment downslide or actually lose its value. The first one, I call it Treasury tips, Treasury inflation protected security. I always say these 2 things. When you have money, you have X amount, and you want to invest it, what you have to look at is the prevailing interest rate in the economy and the prevailing interest and inflation rate in the economy and the interest rate the Treasury bill is offering you. When the interest rate the investment is giving you is lower than the inflation, meaning that your money will be eroded away with the inflation. So that is not good. So only put your money in Treasury bill when the Treasury bill rate is higher than the inflation rate. Other than that, there is no sense in that.
I think we lost our speaker again, but I just called him. He's joining so that he'll give you a summary. Then we end today's session. We are far behind time.